his life's greatest joy and its ultimate reward. To millions of Kenyans, he was the brightest of 1,000 points of light. In him, Kenyans found reason to hope, the courage to dream, and a man to emulate. Mwai Kibaki's life is intertwined with, with our nation's history. But besides being a story of a commander-in-chief of great accomplishments, it is a story of a deeply devoted family man, a beloved son, a dear husband, a cherished father, and a grandfather, a treasured brother, and a dutiful uncle and relative to many. Mwai Kibaki taught us that public service is noble and necessary. He showed us that one can serve with passion and utmost integrity. In fidelity to our shared humanity, he heeded the call to serve his country and never looked back. Earning the profound privilege to serve as a teacher, lawmaker, cabinet minister, vice president, leader of the official opposition, and as president of the Republic of Kenya. He undertook his duties with a distinct sense of civility and dignity, and will undoubtedly inspire many in Kenya, East Africa, Africa, and beyond for years to come. Sunrise. Mwai Kibaki was born to Kibaki'S and Teresia Wanjiku on the 15th of November 1931 in Thongori village in the present-day Othaya sub-county in Nyeri County. He was the last born in a family of 6. His siblings are the late Wagui, the late Githinji, the late Kenywa Waitherero, who is here with us today, the late Derito, and the late Waruguru. During his childhood, a time when Kibaki and his age mates routinely engaged in tending goats and calves near home, a peculiar structure erected in the area caught his fancy. He was to learn later that the unusual edifice constructed by Catholic missionaries was a sanctuary cum school. As fate would have it, young Kibaki ended up being part of the new world that this new phenomenon portended. He attended his preparatory school, dubbed Sub-A and Sub-B there. At first, his father was a little skeptical about young Kibaki's peculiar venture. However, Kibaki's enthusiasm to become part of the novel adventure was unstoppable, and so his long and illustrious academic enterprise started in earnest. After successfully completing his foundational schooling, Mwai Kibaki joined Gatuyaini Primary School, where he spent 2 years. Back then, there was no telling where this journey would land him. However, being the diligent and bright boy he was, his prospective fortunes were already ascertainable. As it came to pass, Mwai Kibaki was destined for greatness. Those who knew Mwai Kibaki from his childhood days through his time at Makerere University speak of a man who, right from the start, knew what he wanted to become and the path he wanted to follow to achieve it. Nothing, it would seem, was coincidental or fortuitous about his life. Everything seemed aligned to purposefulness. Kibaki later joined the Holy Ghost Catholic Missionaries Karima Mission School, which is today Karima Primary School, for another 3 years. From there, he went to Madari School, later named Nyeri High School, before joining the Mangu High School, discovering Yonda. It was at Mangu High School that greatly transformed Kibaki's life. Started by Catholic priests, Mangu High School became the melting pot in which some of the best brains in the country were chaperoned into greatness. The founders of Mangu High School were keen on establishing an institution firmly anchored in the Catholic faith and fully committed to the pursuit of academic excellence. After excelling at Mangu High School, Kibaki joined Makerere University College in Uganda to pursue a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics, history, and political science. He emerged as one of the best students in the Faculty of Arts in 1955, attaining a first-class honors degree. After graduation, Kibaki was employed at Shell Uganda as an assistant sales manager. He resigned when he secured a scholarship to study for a Bachelor of Science in Political Science, in Public Finance, I repeat. He resigned when he secured a scholarship to study for a Bachelor of Science in Public Finance at the prestigious London School of Economics and Political Science, LSE. At LSE, Kibaki became the first African to graduate with a first-class honors degree. Mwai Kibaki returned to Makerere as an assistant lecturer in the Department of Economics. The university would, years later, in 2012, bestow upon him an honorary Doctor of Laws degree as a testament to his distinguished and outstanding contribution to public service at the national, regional, and international levels. The tree and its branches. Just as a farmer plants a small seed which grows to become a large tree with branches that yield a bounty of fruits, as well as providing a safe and secure shade, Mwai Kibaki settled back home when he met and wedded Lucy Muthoni in the year 1961. Their union bore them one daughter and three sons: Judy Wanjiko, Jimmy Kibaki, David Kagai, and Tony Githenji. Today, the home is also filled with 7 grandchildren, being Joy Marie, Ryan Mwai, Christina Muthoni, Giorgio Mwai, Jeremy Mwai, Anna Lisa Muthoni, and Leah Rose Muthoni. Political inclination. Makerere was where Mwai Kibaki launched his political career. He was elected chairman of the Kenya Students Association as well as vice chairman of Makerere Students Guild during a watershed moment marked by heightened political consciousness right across East Africa. This was a time when the agitation to end colonial domination in Africa was at its peak. Kibaki seized that moment and distinguished himself as a champion of emancipation of the African. Mwai Kibaki's career as a lecturer lasted between 1958 and 1961, after which he resigned to become the first executive officer of Kenya's independence party, the Kenya African National Union, KANU. Mwai Kibaki put his best foot forward to strengthen KANU for victory in the 1961 elections. KANU garnered 19 out of 33 elected seats in the House of Representatives. Mwai Kibaki himself was elected Member of Parliament for Donholm in 1963 and appointed Parliamentary Secretary to the National Treasury. He continued to hold his position as KANU's executive officer and gained immense respect across the board, much to the chagrin of his adversaries. Also notable is that Mwai Kibaki was a key architect, together with the late Tom Mboya, of the acclaimed sessional paper number 10 of 1965, titled African Socialism and its Application to Planning in Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, I want now to ask Big Mwai to proceed.
Joining the cabinet, Mwai Kibaki became a full cabinet minister on May 3rd, 1966, when he was appointed Minister for Commerce and Industry. He would 3 years later be appointed to serve his nation as a Minister for Finance. During his tenure at the National Treasury, Mwai Kibaki guided the country through a global economic turndown and managed to steady the fortunes of a relatively young economy to safe shores. Given Kibaki's notable exploits in the arena of leadership, former World Bank President Robert McNamara described him as one of the greatest economic brains to have emerged from Africa. Kibaki's former lecturer at Makerere, Professor Kenneth Ingham, believed that Kibaki had stayed long enough in academia. He would have ended up as a president of the World Bank. A rising star. Upon the demise of the founding father of the nation, President Jomo Kenyatta, in 1978, Kibaki became President Daniel Arap Moi's vice president. Kibaki's star was clearly on a climbing trajectory. While at the Ministry of Finance and later as vice president, Kibaki's adeptness, guided by his economic and fiscal outlook, transformed Kenya's economy. During that period, Kenya benefited from a commodities boom, propelled by monetary policies that led to consistent economic growth. Mwai Kibaki represented his people for 50 years, effectively becoming one of the longest-serving MPs in the Commonwealth. That, though, does not mean he did not have antagonists and detractors. His unyielding resolve to succeed and conspicuous political charm handed him serial victory at the ballot. In 1988, Mwai Kibaki was moved from the twin docket of Vice President and Minister for Home Affairs to the Ministry of Health. He took this unseemly turn of events in his stride. Neither did he cause a stir nor turn into a rebel. In fact, Kibaki went on to tattoo an indelible mark in the ministry when he momentarily waived cost-sharing measures imposed on healthcare service delivery by donors. The 1980s were uncertain times for politicians. The ruling party, KANU, had tightened its grip on dissenting political voices than ever before. Through this difficult stretch, Kibaki maintained an aura of calmness and decency. Opposition leader. In December 1991, Mwai Kibaki announced his resignation from government and formed the Democratic Party, DP. He thus started a new political journey. When Kibaki lost the presidential election in 1992, coming third after the late President Daniel Arap Moi and Kenneth Matiba, he found himself in unfamiliar territory, the opposition. For a man who had been in government all his political life and vice president for a decade, this presented a new opportunity to serve Kenyans. He even brought a fresh wit and humor to the House, and later in his presidency by treating the public to many memorable light moments, usually in Swahili. Kibaki's political triumph finally came in 2002, when the National Rainbow Coalition, NARC, picked him as its preferred presidential candidate. He got more than 65% of the vote. On the 30th of December 2002, Kibaki was sworn in as the third president of the Republic of Kenya on a wheelchair, having survived a near-fatal accident while on the campaign trail hardly a month earlier. He served as the head of state and government until 9th April 2013, when his successor, President Uhuru Kenyatta, ascended to the presidency. Inking history, the indelible mark. No doubt a leading figure in Kenya's post-independence history, Mwai Kibaki won countless hearts of Kenyans. He has many admirers right across the globe, fondly referred to in several quarters as the gentleman of Kenyan politics. Kibaki will be remembered as an insightful and eloquent debater with a unique sense of humor. After Kenya dumped the single-party system in the early 1990s, Kibaki became a leading light in nurturing a political culture of vibrant multi-party democracy. The ruling party was kept on its toes, with Kibaki on the wheel as leader of the official opposition. His role in shaping multi-party democracy is etched in Kenya's history. Once Kibaki became president, his government introduced critical reforms in the education sector, foremost of which was the globally acclaimed free primary education program. His administration also instituted comprehensive infrastructure developments in the transport and energy sectors. Access to better healthcare took a new turn during Kibaki's tenure. Kibaki will be remembered for championing the promotion of policies that promoted economic and social empowerment, democracy, the rule of law, and respect for human rights. At the regional level, Kibaki was at the forefront in supporting the objectives of the East African Community Common Market of Trade liberalization for the citizens of the partner states of the East African Community. His commitment and conviction in matters of economic empowerment went beyond Kenya. Perhaps one of the most memorable achievements of the Kibaki era is the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution that ushered in a new dispensation whose far-reaching effects have redefined how Kenya is governed today. For 2 decades, Kenya had expressed their wish to change the constitution the country had inherited at the dawn of independence in 1963. It had been an elusive goal. At Kibaki's first attempt, it did not fly. It was his second attempt in his second term that it was finally realized. During its promulgation in August 2010, Kibaki termed the achievement the boldest step the Kenyan people have taken towards changing their lives. Kenya's 2010 constitution is definitely a huge part of the Mwai Kibaki legacy. In retrospect, Mwai Kibaki's servant leader credentials offer seminal lessons on how best to negotiate a more rewarding future through prosperity. Kenya is today more desirable in numerous ways courtesy of the solid foundation built by an exemplary icon who no doubt loved his motherland. Fare thee well. In victory, he was gracious and magnanimous, and a magnanimous winner who brought unity. When he lost, he accepted the outcome with dignity and strove to come back better. He showed us how setbacks can strengthen the value us, the value of patience, and the power of never losing sight of one's goals. None of his disappointments could compare with one of life's greatest tragedies, the loss of his dear wife, Mama Lucy Kibaki, 6 years and 4 days ago. If there can be any consolation as we bid farewell to Mwai Kibaki, it is that he has been reunited with the love of his life, as well as with his departed parents and siblings. Mwai Kibaki knew how to be a true and loyal friend. He honored and nurtured his many friendships. He taught us what it means to protect one's family as a husband, father, and grandfather, as well as what it means to be leader of formidable accomplishment. We honor and rejoice in the lifelong companionship he enjoyed with his now departed wife, Her Excellency Mrs. Lucy Kibaki, and his love for his immediate and extended family. Our earnest prayer is that the Almighty God will be kind to Judy Wanjiku, Jimmy Kibaki, David Kagai, and Tony Githenji and their families. In the outpouring of sympathy and adoration that followed Kibaki's demise on April 22nd, 2022, it became clear that Mwai Kibaki had an impact on his country and the world at large in a unique manner. His ingenuity in matters of economic management, his deep love for his country and dedication to its transformation, and his defining character as the gentleman who stood tall above all the muck of politics became the common chorus of the millions of people who mourned this outstanding son of Kenya and the world. Fare thee well, Your Excellency, and may your soul rest in eternal peace.
Allow me to make an unusual request. Kindly, would we be upstanding after the eulogy of this great statesman? And kindly, can we applaud him so that we can usher him in this way into heaven, and all of us have a participation in the eulogy. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Tashukuru sana kwenyu nyote kwa kumpa pongezi na kumsindikiza kwa hayo tumesikia maisha yake. We will only do a few tributes, mainly from the family, who have kindly requested that they make a few tributes. It is a large family, so they will only, representatives will come up to make some brief tributes. Kindly, may I now ask, still in this spirit of prayer, that we invite Madam Judy Kibaki to make her tribute. She will be followed also by the family members thereafter of the family and of the extended family. Kindly now, I invite Judy Kibaki to just make a tribute to her dear father on behalf of the whole family. Let us welcome her also with at least an applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judy Wanjiko. I am the daughter of the late President Mwai Kibaki, and I wish to make this tribute to a very special man, my father. Mr. Mwai Kibaki was known by many names. His Othaya constituents called him Mheshimiwa. For the first 30 years he was in government, he was also called Waziri. At some point during that period, he was also called Vice President Mwai Kibaki. Then in 1993, the media started referring to him as Opposition Leader Mwai Kibaki. This title lasted 10 years. Then he was sworn in as president in December 2002. And everybody started referring to him as Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya. Through his journeys of transformation from Mheshimiwa to His Excellency the President, Mwai Kibaki remained just dad to me and my 3 brothers. He did everything a dad is supposed to do. He drove me to school when he did not have important early morning appointments. He attended the parents-teachers meetings when they were convened and listened keenly to what the teachers had to say about my progress, or rather lack of it, much to his consternation. He seemed to be more appraised about my diligence in making numerous friends, but not in scoring A's. He took all this in his stride, just as he did so many other things in his life. Many people have referred to my dad as their mentor. Mwai Kibaki was my mentor too. He mentored me on so many aspects of my life. Patience was one value I learned from him. He taught me that nothing good comes instantly. You must work hard at it. He said, stay focused. He often said, And those who chose to listen to his wise counsel, me included, managed to navigate the challenges that life presents. We shared Dad not just with his constituents here in Othaya, but with the rest of Kenya and in fact the whole world. People often wondered how such a high-ranking leader could have time for his family. Dad had plenty of time for me and my siblings. He blocked off his diary when we were on school vacations and took time to be with us. When our birthdays rolled around, he hosted our friends in the garden of his home for our birthday parties. Ever the jovial personality that he was, he would invite my friends' parents to stay on and be part of the celebration. They hospitality. By being present on our special days, and as much as possible when time allowed, he remained part and parcel of my life. He found time to fly to the United States to attend my university graduation, which was on a Sunday. He flew out of the US the same night, was back in Nairobi on Monday night, and was able to participate in his then political party's election on Wednesday morning. It was a KANU election at that time. It was a balancing act all his life, and he managed it well. You gave me sufficient time, Dad. Dad gave me time, so I also dedicated a lot of time to him too. Just as he supported me through my formative years when I was through with education, I spent a considerable amount of time supporting him in the development of his assets, something which I enjoy doing even today. This has been a lesson on give and take. One of those investments was his political career. I can honestly say that Dad's political victories were hard-won battles. I was in the thick of his 4 presidential campaigns. They were not easy, but my siblings and I came to know many people and we made many friends. These were true lessons on resilience. Dad's public life was his. He did not drag me into his public rallies and harambes. It was voluntary. Dad was a Democrat even in his own home. He knew I had other interests I wished to pursue, and he encouraged me to do so. He did not want to make me into a replica of himself. No. Dad wanted me to grow into a well-educated, focused individual with a strong character and a unique, defined personality. This is what he dreamt and hoped for every Kenyan. So he worked at it all his life because he sincerely believed that a nation of well-developed individuals would surely prosper to great heights. This was Dad's vision. My father was a great man, yes. He also had fine human qualities. He was kind and very generous. He dedicated his life to the service of Kenya. He served Kenyans with humbleness and humility. He participated in 10 general elections over a span of 50 years. Each time, going back to request his constituents to re-elect him as member of parliament to enable him to continue serving them. Each time, they did re-elect Dad because they believed him and he lived up to his promises. I can say there are many lessons that can be learned from my dad's life. One of the more important ones is that victory can be gained peacefully. Dad was peaceful at home and in his work. Your work has been diligently done, Dad. You carried yourself with so much dignity. I am at peace. Rest in peace, Dad. I will always love you.
Thank you very much. We continue with the tribute to the family.
Your Excellency the President, Your Excellency First Lady Margaret Kenyatta, Your Excellency the Deputy President, Your Excellency Mrs. Rachel Ruto, the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and Mrs. Ida Odinga, ladies and gentlemen, before I give my tribute, I just want to call Mr. Jimmy Cairo. I know I'm breaking protocol, but Your Excellency, please indulge me. There's a reason why I'm calling here. Jimmy, are you around? Jimmy Cairo, for those who don't know him, he's the son of the late Honorable David Munene Cairo. And I'm sure many of you know, the relationship between his father, his late father, and now my late father. It was one of those great friendships. His father was a very close friend of my father, and my mother actually. I don't know which was the greater friendship, between your father and my father, or my father and your mother, but they were very close friends. Indeed, the first time I ever saw my father shed a tear was at your father's funeral. David, in honor of that friendship, David had requested me if he could read a tribute. And here he is. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Your Excellency the President, First Lady, Deputy President, Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga and your family, and to the family of our friend, Honorable Mwai Kibaki, His Excellency. Mine is just a short tribute, and Jimmy, thank you very much for your